using the disk, we can create a snapshot of each VSD disk. That already we have seen that you can create the snapshot of a disk also, and for each snapshot we can create it, that from every snapshot we can create a disk also. The key you need to understand over here is that if I have access to my disk, I can create a VM. That you can easily do that. So snapshot of a VSD, already we have seen that. How can I carry out the snapshot of a VSD? If I show you one of the disk associated with this, if I say any of the disk, and if I say, let's take an example of my this operating system disk, I can create a snapshot from there. I will say my OS disk hyphen today is 12th September. What it's a read-only copy of that, zone redundant if you want to encrypt it. So I will say with a platform manage key only, and review and create, you can specify. That is my snapshot will get created out there. So now if you have to build a VM from this snapshot, how will you build the VM from this snapshot? Any idea? So what I will do, I will create a new disk, and the disk, what will be the source for my disk? If I add a disk, the snapshot will be the source of my disk. I will say day 3, and the disk name is that my test, my that is my OS test disk. I will just give it a name. And what is the source over here? You can specify the source is what. If it is my snapshot, if it is storage blob means I have my own premises disk is there, VSD, I uploaded it over here. Maybe any disk I have stored over here, I've taken backup of the disk over. So I will say snapshot, and the snapshot, it will ask me which snapshot. This is the snapshot. So this way I can build it. You can change the disk and you can create it. So you are creating a managed disk over here. Blob storage means unmanaged disk. And when you say, when you create any VM, you can specify I want to use the existing disk. You can specify. So if I have this disk available with me, I can easily select the disk, new disk, and I can specify create VM from this. You can specify. Till the time it comes, let me show you that option also. Once this disk will get created, so if I say I go to resource, and now I can create a VM from this disk. Yes or no? Yes, you can create a VM from this disk. That is the various options available with us.
One thing, Pravesh, I mean, you said something about the blob storage is of type unmanaged disk.
Yes, blob storage means it's unmanaged disk. That means whenever you create any disk that is unmanaged disk, you are specifying the location where your disk will get stored. If you remember, managed disk means Azure is doing it automatically for you. The location is not shared with you, but in case of unmanaged disk, you are specifying. That means you need to create a storage account where you can store your disk. Whenever you create any disk, that time you need to specify it.
All right.
If you say, let's say, let me show you that disk. This is what managed disk only. I don't have that options. But whenever you add any data disk, that time you have to specify the data disk. So if I say I am creating one of the VM, so let's take an example. I will go to existing VM. So this is what my VM over here. And if I specify a disk over here and I say create and attach a new data disk. So the data disk type I need to specify over here, and that is what. The size over here. No, it is creating me over here. Let me create a new VM, and that time I will show you the VM. Add me. I just want to see the settings. Like it's very dynamic in nature. You find that I am like we are using it, but that time you will find that it's a different. So I specify create and attach a new disk. Okay. Let me specify. Let me select it with the image demo. and my TTT. I just typing any name to understand it. So the disk is there, and that is the add-ons. Yes, this is what the option over there. You say use manage disk. That's why for a VM I specify. So I need to change it to manage. In the moment I say no, means now you need to create your own storage account and where your disk will get stored over here. But as a best practice, we should use the manage disk, because the moment you say you are using unmanaged disk, you have to manage it. You have to ensure that replication is taking place. Like in a storage account, by default LRS is there, ZRS you can specify. So as a best practice, we always say we should use the managed disk.
But in an environment where you have governance and things, you have to control it yourself. You can't use Azure one.
Yes.
Like in my company, for example, we have all GDP and all kinds of things to contend with. So you have to make sure that I have to manage it. I can't use the Azure one because I don't know where they're going to store it. I have to stipulate where to manage it.
Like managed, you have control on your disk, that is there. Because what happens when you create this disk, if you remember, as a best practice, what should we should also encrypt our disk?
I know, but what I'm saying is that in a production environment where you've been given, requirement that the disk has to be stored in a certain location and region due to data protection laws, then you have to choose. You cannot choose manage disk. Is what I'm saying. You have to manage it yourself.
That is there. For the data protection and all that, what do we use? We always specify, like if you have any such requirement, like the VM, we can configure the VM replication for that. Like if you look at the SLA associated, in case of managed disk, that is SLA is associated with that. The moment you create whenever you create any VM, they will always specify. Now you have to ensure that now it's a management overhead associated with you. If I'm using the managed disk, that time also I have an option. I can configure the replication using the site recovery. I can configure the replication from one place to another region. You can specify.
So are you saying that in a situation where you have governance, you could still use managed disk?
Yeah, it is recommended to use the managed disk.
So how do you now prove to the business that the disk is being stored in the location it's supposed to be stored if it's managed by Azure? Is what I'm getting at.
Again, can you repeat your question again, Madhu?
Okay, what I'm saying is that if you've been given a requirement by the company that we want to make sure that this disk is not stored in the US, it's stored in Europe. If you choose manage disk and Azure is managing it for you, how do you know where they're storing the disk so that you can comply with the governance?
Yes. So the disk where you are creating your VM, in the same location, in the same region, your disk will get stored.
Okay, all right. Okay,
it will not get replicated to any other region. It will be only within that particular region. So this way you are ensuring that your data, that you are ensuring the data residency in that case.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you.
So ARM template, already we have seen that you can create the template storage account, and this is one of the template for storage account. We already have seen that. Yes. Now I will come to the topic of automation runbook. This is really one of the fantastic service. So this is just one of the runbook is one of the service in Azure automation account. So how should we start? And then I will come to this theory. So let's say we'll create a automation account. Automation account is nothing, it's for your orchestration. You want to automate, you want to manage. If let's take an example, if I ask you there is a need to run a script against hundreds VMs, how will you ensure it should run? That means you need to have control that. What is the state of your VMs? For that we use the Azure automation account. That is, so I will say I'll create one of the account over here.
So is this the account which gets created inside each of the VMs? Or they just use?
No, please. The disk is always created in the storage account, which is managed by Azure, and it is associated, it is attached to your VM.
No, sorry. I mean, I think I got it wrong. What I was asking was this automation account. So this is some kind of username which is then used to run scripts against 100 VMs.
Yeah, again 100. That is what. That is a service provided by the Azure. It's a orchestration service basically.
So the username then is it created inside each of the 100 VMs?
No, it will
No.
run against the 100 VMs. So what happens? You need a agent. One agent will get installed on your VM, and it's the task of that agent to run the particular script.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So the requirement over here is, let's take an example. You want to identify, we use this automation account for update management and all that stuff. You want to, what is the state of your VMs? I will show you that your most of the doubts will get clarified. Like,
But see the Kiran here, but see the automation account should have permissions and rights to do those necessary modification or read on the VM, right? So how is it going to do that?
Exactly. Yeah. That
that
was
is
going
what
to
I
be my
want.
question.
Let me create that here. That is there. And any, like, say, any automation activity. Your all doubts will get clarified once I get created. So the basically, if you say for your VM rated, what is the state? You have you need something. You are able to manage your configuration.
Yeah.
Your VM configuration, that any service you want to install, what is the state of service? If it is not installed, it should get installed. If it is not started, it should start automatically. Now the update management. Now if I ask you, the inventory management is what? So we use something called, like on premises we use SCCM or any other tool, or it may be the case like you use the chef, any other tool. So inventory management is one of the requirement. Like for configuration management, we use the chef. So inventory management is these are some of the requirements. How do we achieve it? With the help of the Azure automation account. I will show you the how I'm doing it. Let me create it, and I will tell you all your doubts, what you have. So let me give it a name, test automation. It is there. So the resource group is what? My day 3. Or let me create one more. That is my automate demo. Knowingly I've done it because I have a session in evening, so for that I have to show this also. So HTOS, that is there. So I will say this is what the run as account. So all the resources, like how these activities going to, so we use this run as account for that purpose. That is what it will create a account in Azure Active Directory, and the account will have permission to manage all the resources.
Who gives it the permission? Does it take the permission itself, or you have to give it?
No, we need to specify the resource which I'm going to manage it, that will automatically. So I'm just, what it will do when you create a automation account, one service account, that means my identity will get created in Azure Active Directory. And the moment I add a agent over there, so what happens in the background, it installs a agent. Now the agent is, this account will communicate with that agent. So
I know that. I know that, but where does he get his? How does he get his permission?
This account will get created in Azure Active Directory.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And from where the permissions, necessary permissions will be given. It happens in the background automatically.
Network service privilege on the service account or the local system service privileges for this runners account?
It's if I'm not wrong, it's the contributor permission. On the resource group level, if you look at the contribute permission, the contribute permission is there to this service account. I'll show you that account once it gets created, then I will show you that. So it creates a service principal, it's a account.
We will be able to see this account in Azure AD, right?
Yeah, Azure Active Directory, you will be able to see this account in Azure. Okay, if I say go to resource, so now this is what resource, and now let me go to another portal and say, let me start some of the VMs over there. Start this VM. Let me start this VM also. My new VM captured. It is already started, and it is already started. So what happens? So now if I go over here in the automation account, so what happens? Let me go and look at the Azure automation. So from the log analytics workspace, I not to know which user, I just need to specify log analytics workspace subscriptions. I just need to create this automation account in another region because my log analytics workspace is already in the East US, so it should be in a different account. So let me go and create one more account, automation account. In case of automation, your log analytics workspace and automation accounts should be in the different location. let me say automate demo East US. So, and the location I will use over here, that is my pairing. I think the pairing is what your East US. Where is West US? WS. So if you look at your VM end, because it may be the case, if I look at the configuration, this is my configuration and the availability, and what is that? My update management. If I go and look at this update management, it is configured for this log analytics workspaces and which automation account. If you look at that configure, so I will say I can, if I have any, I can do it this activity from the VM side or from the automation account also I can map it. So I'll show you what actually it does in the background. So if I show you, this is what I'm going to do from change tracking, even though your registry changes and file, your registry changes, all that can be tracked from there, automation account. And you can run anything. So if I show you the extensions, okay, this is what run over here. If I go to my demo-vm, there is no extension over here. My demo-web VM, there is no extension over here. Okay. So if I say overview, it is in start mode. This is also started with something demo. Okay. So my automation account is created. This is demo US one, and let me go to update management. I will choose change this region mapping automation. It is a problem with the region mapping, spotted region. That means if I'm using East US, oh yeah, I can create my automation account. With my log analytics workspace is that, yes, in the East US, it is West US. That all you need to specify. This one, that's the reason I'm not able to do that. No issue, I will create one more in the automation account, West US. That list I'm sharing with you so that you can specify it as a region mapping. I missed it earlier. To automate demo, and that I will specify because my log analytics is in East US 2. Let me create. Using
Why do they have made this so complicated to have in different regions, log analytics in one region, and then it's because
if you look at that, your VM will always it is sending the logs to log analytics workspace, and from where the automation account will read the state of that, the VM, whether which updates are installed, what is the inventory fetch to run that is.
okay. So they're trying to separate it from the same region on which the automation is running.
Yes. So if I select the log analytics workspace, why it is giving this? Okay, there is no, okay, let me create it. Let me do it. Create new workspace. Workspace is a online workspace. So over here we use the automation account. That is what my inventory management. It will show me all your software inventory and all that information about how the way your SCCM works. The same way till the time it gets management solution is under progress. So if I go to inventory, cancel that. So if I go to update management from there, and already if you look at that, automatically with this log analytics workspace, my automation account is already linked with that. So the moment I say click from here, let me do it from this end. state was enabled. Please reselect the menu to open the solution. Okay.